No, I apologize. He had this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he
Roll
does.
to
Yes,
that
yes.
task. Also, very curious, seeing on the video.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a couple
Yeah.
things that we didn't include, so I'll
Okay,
like.
well, keep it.
Oh, I see.
Because it was only.
And
Wow, it's so nice.
and then city is second reading, which takes 2 seconds.
They were changed every step.
Well, it's like a light today. I haven't.
Regulations.
Darn, what is it? She's like, how are we gonna? Yeah, yeah. Oh, look at that. For sure. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us this evening. If you are able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are we okay? Just threw a chair at us. I just took it.
I'm worried about that for 16.
The first one was, how many years the city sit there and it never went over?
I was worried about that for years.
All right, after that excitement, if we could get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Next is call to the public. Karen, any cards? Okay, we will move on to our information and discussion items. First is going to be an academics report and an update by Ms. Julie Price.
Oh, I didn't realize that was very first.
Very first.
Oh, my goodness. Can I stand here?
Of course.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start the presentation. Tonight, I'm reporting on student academic goals, on how the administration and schools are going to support those goals, okay? Okay. Before I do that though, I'm skipped. I want to do this first.
Okay,
You have this in front of you, the data. And I gave you an updated, it should have been on your table, yeah. So take a minute and look at that. The first page is the ELA, ASA, Arizona State Testing Results, and the math. I want to take a minute and I want to recognize, you'll see Del Rio did quite well this year. Third graders did well, and it continued through fourth and fifth. So Ed, do you want to tell us what you did different this past year?
Number one, I have a fantastic staff who, in my 30 years in education, this is the best group of people I've ever worked with. But we did a variety of things. Number one, Friday school, which we're going to bring back for second semester leading up to the state testing again. Number two, obviously, thanks to this board, we have one-on-one computers, Chromebooks, whatever we want to call them, in the classroom so kids are more adept at what they're doing for state testing. Number three, we have a fantastic EL program, and a lot of that is new to the English language and to the country and to the community. And we really geared those kids up for both Azella and for AASA. And there's a lot of research. I don't have any that validates it specifically to our campus, but there's a lot of research that says the reincorporation or the incorporation of PE on campuses raises test scores and alertness and lessens discipline issues. And we've seen all those things at our campus. And that's fantastic. We also have actually a pretty strong fidelity to the curriculum that we have. McGraw-Hill, which has most of its assessments written in the same format as the state test, which is getting them used to that so they don't get that sticker shock when they get to the test. They're like, I've never seen this before. So we don't have that. And then one of the biggest things that we do, and I cannot take credit for it, it was something that was there before I got there, but we've continued to do with some zealousness, much to the chagrin of kids, is that at the end of every quarter, we have a full day writing day where they go through the process of reading and outlining and handwriting it and then typing it out. Again, so when they get to the state exam, that's not a surprise for them, and they know what they're doing and they know what they're looking at.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, Ed. I also want to recognize third grade. I think we need to take a minute and recognize Territorial, because Territorial obviously sent us a group of students that were ready for third grade academics. And they don't take test scores, but I do still think that Territorial needs to be recognized for preparing our students for third grade. As you can see, we have some work to do, and we're going to go over how we're going to approach that in my slideshow. Okay, I do want to recognize EL because, like Ed said, EL plays a huge part in our scores. So we'll recognize EL in a moment. The science data, the state does not give us data to compare like they do for the AASA. So there's no comparison on how other schools, districts, or the state are doing. But just take a minute and look. You can see that we did improve. It was we went, just the proficient, sorry, I'm fighting old age. The proficient column, you can see, last year, fourth grade was 22, this year they're 30.2. Eighth grade 17, this year, they're 18.5.
Which table are we looking at?
Science,
Sorry, second.
second
You're
page.
right.
And then in 23, biology students 2, and they went, 11, and they went up to 13.8. So we are improving there with new standards. And materials, that's right, we have,
The new materials.
they started the new materials last year. The curriculum.
Julie, quick question. It's still looking like we had that really hit with COVID between the 19 figures and current figures.
Thank you.
Are we back to where it doesn't look like it quite yet, but are we back to where we were pre-COVID?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Well, you have to realize too, Cindy and I went over this data today, and you have to realize that we are using new standards. They've changed the standards since 2019.
Of course.
But that's one reason I left 2019 on there. I don't want to hang on to COVID being the problem. You know, we need to let that move on, but you can see the difference in that data.
Now, these are kids that were not young, like our kindergarten, first, second, third graders, we kept hearing were really badly hit because of COVID. Why did we see such a terrible hit even in the higher grade levels?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I believe that ninth graders last year were my COVID group that did not finish fifth grade. And am I thinking that clearly? And did not begin sixth grade. So they are, that's what
So they're up to that.
I'm referring to their sophomores this year. So the freshman group last year were Heritage Middle School's COVID group, cohort.
The change in standards was a really, really big part of it too. When Arizona rolled to the next generation science standards, in the past, you had science concepts introduced, taught, and assessed. Like, this is what you need to learn, like, and really learn in this grade level. Next generation science standards are set up to spiral. So they're introduced, taught, assessed. And so because of that process, sometimes students are being assessed on a standard before they've been adequately and thoroughly instructed on the standard.
That level of the spiral.
Exactly. So and that's where we really see it in science, because a lot of times they're taking a test that has concepts and the above
Than what they've been taught.
And that's the state of Arizona, thank you.
It's the national next generation science standards. Arizona just did not adapt the assessment to effectively, like, it should be more, a little bit predictive, like, okay, the kids have had the material introduced, this is, it should be like at that level, but it's not. It's as if it was down here, and that's the assessment piece in Arizona. But you'll remember many, many years ago when Joe Kelleher was on our board, she was part of the NGSS standards process. That's how long that was in the works.
So it's a little bit of the kids and a little bit more of a testing process that they're going through. So
And the new standards, yeah.
yeah, so we shouldn't take each one of these numbers so closely to heart, is what you're saying.
Yes.
More of the trends.
Right, and last year was their first year with the new curriculum that met the national standards. So, okay.
Thank you.
Now, on the ACT Aspire, I'm gonna tell you, I was really blown away by these. Is that what? Yes. And from what I understand, nationally, a lot of schools have stopped using, districts have stopped using ACT Aspire as an assessment. And Arizona is one state that has not for ninth grade. Now, and these scores are right off of the state's assessment report, and some of them, as Justine pointed out, one adds up to 99, one adds up to 101. So I have no reason for that. But you may notice that.
I didn't.
I'm not going to tell you which ones. We'll see. If you
Shame on me.
So, but ACT Aspire will continue. Arizona's going to continue. From what I understand from Cindy, ACT isn't even supporting ACT Aspire any longer. So I think Arizona needs to find a new assessment, but that's my opinion. And they haven't asked me.
The national norming group does not include everybody.
No.
It only includes kids who they think will be college bound. So the national sample is decreasing and it's becoming more heavily weighted with the academically elite. So the national scores are reflective of academically elite performance compared to Arizona, which mandates it for everybody. So this is the everybody versus the.
So, I mean, just look at science. Or, look at compared to last year, the difference in the numbers. You can tell that it's going down nationally. I want to shout out though to 9th grade for English. We did quite well compared to Arizona. And really very comparable in the reading. Not far. I mean, really our scores aren't far off. Math, it looks like we need to do some work there.
Well, Julie, I can remember from years back, we were way below the state average. You don't hear me saying anything because we look good now compared to the state.
Yeah.
Which is what we really are contemporaries.
Right. Mm-hmm. But it's going to get we shouldn't even have the national column on there because it really isn't a fair comparison if every school in the nation isn't taking it.
Same.
And then our ACT, the goal is to be higher than 15. And it looks like we dropped a whole point in reading. And, but the data is really not far off from last year's. So, any questions about that? Well, I'd like to move on then. So just put that in the back of your packet, right, John?
Keep going.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead because our EL did so well this past year on the Azella testing. I want to recognize our ELL team. Unfortunately, Lorinda from Tech could not join us tonight, but we.
And CR either.
Rosa Maria, come on up. Rosa Maria is our coordinator and our high school teacher. We've got Kira Moody, who is coming up. Yeah, is our EL, and I don't see Ari. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. So come on up. We have 2 out of our 4 teachers right there. So I'm going to present you with a sticker from our Education Foundation. And for being brand ambassadors, for preparing our students for the future and doing such a wonderful job. And so I'll give these to the principals. And I asked Rosa Maria if she would say a word or two about how she thought they did wonderful last year. What was the program and how did you do it? And then what are your goals for this year?
Fantastic.
Did you
That's
want
a
to
lot. Thank you, Kira. Thank you so much for
Well,
giving me
Kira,
the
you
time
might
to
as well
talk about. We know it takes a village, and Kira is one of
Yes.
the village. So 3 of our 4 EL teachers have returned this year, and we know that the teachers, the stuff is great, but the teachers are what make the impact. So our numbers are going up. They're not perfect, but they're going up, and they're trending in the direction that we want. So that's fantastic. Also correction, HMS, you can add 1 to that. We have 2 students. I just got data for the Alta Alpha, which is for our severe special needs who also have a language need. And so one of our special needs children who qualified for that did in fact, and he is now a 9th grader. I just told him on Thursday, and he was so excited that he has indeed passed his Azella. So, and he did spend he joined us at Del Rio at the end of 5th grade. He went through Heritage, and now he is a freshman at the high school. So really excited for that. So some of the things, of course, it's the teachers. We now have an EL teacher on each campus, certified teacher on each campus, which makes a big difference. Tech has a full-time, Heritage has a full-time, Del Rio has a full-time, and I do the high school. I am not in that role full-time, but I think that more than anything else is what's made the difference and helped our numbers go in the direction that they're going, that consistency, right? What was the other thing you asked me to talk about?
I think you'd be great. Is there anything else you want to add that we're including this year?
So goals for this year, of course, to continue in that direction. The things that have made the most impact is, as well as, in addition to having consistent staff, is using our funds to pay for Friday school. So we call it a Zella boot camp, right? And so that has made a difference. Last year we brought on board Heritage. And also the high school, this is our last year was our 2nd year also. It's a hard sell, but we got some high schoolers to attend. And so the numbers are trending up, and our goals this year, of course, is to keep seeing those numbers go up. The program continues to grow by leaps and bounds. District-wide numbers are down, but my program is not. So yeah, those are the goals for this year.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
And can I just add that there was funding for a para, so I had a para last year, and I have her back this year. She's amazing and has made such a difference in being able to have small groups and work with the kids in that way, so.
Now we need one for tech.
Yes, we do. We do need a para for tech, for EL. There's your shout out, Brent. Okay, let's go ahead and we're gonna, any questions about our EL and our reclassification scores? No? Okay, let's move on. So we're gonna start with territorial. Let me put mine in front of me. So territorial is focusing on believing in each child's potential as a lifelong learner, teaching the whole child, encouraging excellence. This year they're focusing on academics, academic rigor, and attendance. So the goal with academics for all 4 campuses is to use that curriculum board approved curriculum with rigor and fidelity. So that's really our goal this year, is that we really push that word fidelity and make sure that we're using only board approved curriculum and supplements. Okay. And then the rigor, providing PD to the teachers, professional development. This summer, we provided professional development for heritage science and math. And we also provided some training for our high school and middle school ELA. And we've got reading PD coming August 23rd for both elementary schools. And then attendance, every school has taken this goal on to improve their attendance. And so you'll see on every slide with incentives on how to improve that. With these little guys, it's hard at territorial because they're really relying on parents to get them there.
Julie, just one question on attendance, and I think it was going to come up later, but I'm incredibly impressed by Dr. Moody's procedure that he explained to us on ensuring attendance. Is that now concept being done in all 4 schools?
And what did you say you're doing for attendance? Calling parents and meeting with them?
I mean, and I would say, yes, it's being done across the board. And
It's the
it
goal for
was a
every school.
collaborative effort that we all came up with last year as well. But it's calling parents, it's sending out letters, periodic 5, 8, 10 days type of thing. And then if obviously circumstances don't necessarily warrant a degree of consideration, we're sending out truancy letters and sending out truancy referrals. which is really not to punish families or
Right.
parents,
See how
but
they
rather
can
to get them
help.
resources from the community and the courts. And then obviously we're trying to promote an environment on campus that is making kids want to come to school, and celebrating them being at school, including, and shout out to Lori Marley, who provides us with a lot of the prizes, but prizes for kids being, having perfect attendance and being there, and drawings for that as well.
The letters are something we've always done with all of our systems, our school student systems. But I think the biggest impact, in my opinion, would be those parent phone calls by the teacher. Hey, I noticed Joey's gone, and is there anything I can do to help you? And also when the child is there, for the teacher to take that time to recognize them, for the administrators to take the time to recognize that they're there, glad they made it. They really are a big part of our class and making them feel welcome.
We had a terrible presentation last spring about S&Dism. And Dr. Moody has such a thorough process for doing it. It just gave me, I was trying to find out when we're going to get an update on that. But since you have the line in here, I thought I'd use this opportunity to
And
ask.
like, you'll see attendance on every slide.
Right.
So every school is really making that a goal this year, to focus on that. And,
If I can just interject as well, really quick, and I would point out that every school had a drop in overall egregious attendance issues as well. Like all of our attendance got better. So,
And our juvenile detention center, they hired someone, was it 3 years ago, just to help schools with attendance. And so those referrals are really important, especially for the older kids. And so that really encourages the parent to get them there.
Because that's so correlated with so many other things, including academics, obviously. I hope that we get 2 or 3 updates during the year about how attendance is doing this year in each of the schools. Because I was just
I believe you
stunned.
will receive that month. Is it going to be monthly or quarterly, Cindy?
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
Super, thank you.
All right, we'll move on.
So, I've got a question.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if there's any value in having any measurable outcomes for these goals so that we know that we are achieving these goals.
There's definitely value in seeing that. And I believe we will have attendance reports to compare to each other. And I'm trying
Well,
to see.
particularly the academics and academics, so
Yes.
there are some measurable outcomes that we can extract from the attendance.
The attendance.
But,
And they're
With
using-
fidelity, what does that mean? How do we measure that? If the staff is,
Well, and that's a good point. One thing that we'll do, and it wouldn't be measurement really, would be more frequent visits into classrooms. And we would be able to see that they're using their curriculum assessments this year. So on the platforms, they have assessments. They should be finishing this week or next week, their beginning of the year assessments from that curriculum. So that those assessments are going to be correlated to the curriculum.
The evaluation.
Evaluation instrument too, we'll use that because that's
to
part
hold
of,
the teachers accountable for these
teachers are
goals.
being held accountable for these. And that is part of the teacher evaluation. So one domain is instruction. Okay, good questions. Let's move on to Del Rio. And Del Rio, Dr. Moody chose his one goal for academic success. He did include some monitoring on here, how he's going to be able to measure that. So he'll be comparing the assessments again. And, let's remember this year, we're also really pushing on celebration to make sure the schools are celebrating successes that their students are having academically with attendance as well as their staff, recognizing their staff. That is something we're also pushing. That's part of the brand is celebrating. We need to make sure we celebrate as well. Then on goal 2, there it is again, promoting and utilizing board approved curriculum. Looking at that data, analyzing it. They have different assessments they're using at Del Rio. Questions about that? Let's move on to Heritage. So Heritage, she has 3 goals. One of the biggest things I think that Caitlin's doing this year is the enhancement. This past summer, almost every grade level worked on their scope and sequence and their pacing guide.
Everybody but music.
About music. And that's really district-wide. All schools worked. That was the summer. We put out a lot of money this year, paying teachers to come in and create their scope and sequence and their pacing guide. And that is one thing that principals will be using to, when they visit their classrooms, Mike, they'll have that in front of them. They should see what week it is and where they should be. If they're not on target with their pacing, that's a question they need to have with their teachers. How can I help you? You're either ahead. Do you need to slow down? Does your data say you're going too fast? What is it? But there was a lot of summer work in June. Teachers worked really hard creating those scope and sequences and pacing guides. So he had this, I'm a Heritage, excuse me. Fostering a culture of high expectations. I know Caitlin is bringing in and excited to work beside Marzano's incorporation this year. So she's going to be doing a book study on one of Marzano's books and also with her staff. And then she will be bringing in trainers to work with her staff during PD days. Alrighty. And she has for professional development, that would be Marzano. Any questions on that? Let's go to the high school.
So
I'm
I do
sorry.
have a question.
Okay, you're fine.
Is any of this going to be related to or correlated with end of the year testing?
Yes.
How do you
And
plan
how
on
is
doing
that
that?
articulated here? I
Well,
may be missing it.
so for the use of the curriculum, right? So they've taken beginning of year test this week, then there's the mid-year test, and then the end of year test. So it says assesses their application of the curriculum through the classroom observations and performance data. We get together on Wednesdays at least once or twice a month, depending on what month I've worked it out, where we essentially crunch the data, look at the data, see how we are doing, and then collaborate, because we all get together and make adjustments. And as Julie said earlier, the assessments this year, we're using the curriculum that has
On
been
the
purchased
platforms,
on
their
their
assessment.
platform. So instead of using Galileo like we did before, they're using the curriculum that they're teaching to.
So I mean, I noticed that is, my question is true of all of the schools. So I'm interested
And the performance
from
is also.
any of the
Other
principals
administrators?
about this.
So Mike, I'll tell you
Yeah.
too, one of the things that you might remember we had talked about at our May 29th day
Yeah.
was getting away from bogus growth by 5% goals
Uh-huh.
that are meaningless. Because the data we get's different kids, different cohorts, different, it's like last year's third grade compared to this year's third grade. Last year's third grade compared to this year's fourth grade, third of the kids are different. And one of the things that you guys had talked about at that May 29th day was really getting away from those bogus goals that are kind of meaningless fluff. It puts a number before the board, but it doesn't have anything behind it.
Sound good goals. Yeah.
And so I think what you just heard from Caitlin is the thing that you can't, it's that they're working as a grade level and with individual kids based on that beginning of the year assessments that everybody's doing last week. We had some people who were already done with their assessments, more than half done last week with their beginning of the year. Because now as they meet weekly, monthly, quarterly, and review those goals, those are way more authentic goals than what you would have seen in the past, which was just a lot of sound good, but not really all that valuable for guiding instruction. One of the things that I like that the high school and middle school especially have focused on over the summer was building all those scope and sequence on the platform. They've divided up, and Billy, Brian, and Justine divided up their staff Marty and Caitlin divided up their staff and they're trolling their Google Classrooms every week. What are they supposed to be teaching? Are there lessons there? If I walk in this door, that better be what I'm seeing. And that's a huge change.
Very much so.
Yeah, so everyone's, all the teachers currently are working on getting this pre-test completed. And then at the end of the year, it'll be a post-test.
Yes. But
So,
they're like also throughout the year.
and throughout, so are they being tested now on the same skills that they will be tested at the end of the year? So that we,
Yes, they are.
So, Brandy, why don't you go ahead? Because yours is pretty robust.
So we use two different platforms. We have the A.R.S testing platform, which does our reading, and it's our beginning of the year, but we also, it does all of the ELA. It also has in there progress monitoring, and the kids are working on it every day. So yes, it's the same platform, but it does up the ante each time. So it's at the end of the year goals. So that's our ELA that we do every day. We do monthly data meetings where we look at those as a whole grade level, and then we target specific kiddos that we're looking at and trying to help. And then for our math, we're constantly going in and doing our assessments, but we have to spiral back just because you do an assessment and they have those, and you're teaching those things, we have to continually spiral to make sure we're keeping it going and building on those. So
How does that impact tutoring?
that's what guides our tutoring. So our Title I staff does all of the tutoring, as well as we'll pick up Friday school in the spring. We're just not quite ready for Friday school yet, so we wait till the spring. But it just supports everything, but it's all based on the data where the kids are at. And then we invite the kids to attend class. So it's not just extra time with the kids at school, we invite them all to attend.
yeah, sure. So a reasonable hypothesis would be at the end of the year, there will be evidence of student growth.
Absolutely.
So,
At all schools.
yeah, so how do we know if we're succeeding? And what are we exceeding at if there's some growth? How are we gonna measure that? 1% growth? Or is that satisfactory? So I mean, this
Justine's
is,
back there raising her hand.
I know,
like
I've seen that.
maybe-
It was just a second about wanting to
Go ahead,
answer this
Justine.
question. So, I mean, I feel like, at least I do, need some guidance on the discussions, at least around, well, we are being successful because of this evidence.
So you're looking for what is the percent of growth we're expecting or hope?
Well, that's one way of looking at it, right? That's one way of measuring it. I don't know if that's what's on your mind or not, but so I'm just curious.
Real quick before Justine jumps in, are the A.R.S scores that I'm talking
Yeah.
about, they put us at a grade level benchmark goal, and that's where it used to be DIBELS is what it was called formerly.
Sure.
Now it's A.R.S.
Yeah.
And it shows us a benchmark, and
Yeah.
our goal for us is that we have 85% of our students benchmarking, and that's all students.
Boom.
So that's
Well,
what
then
nice one.
articulated in this,
Oh,
what you
No.
just stated.
It isn't, because this here is, Mike, is how they're gonna support.
yes.
I got that. This is the
But-
processing, but
Yes, it
we
is.
want outcomes, don't we?
Yes.
So our teachers have individual outcomes, and they all in our evaluation have teacher professional plans. And every one of their teacher professional plans is where we target that specific data. This is how we're gonna get there, but then all the teachers have those individual goals.
Rather than a whole school goal, which becomes like collectively, we're all gonna lose 100 pounds in the
I
next
got
month.
that. No, that's smart, I think. So,
Yeah, I'll join that one.
As long as Mike has the.
so does,
That's what he wants.
does each teacher have sort of then their own numerical goal they're after, and it may differ from teacher to teacher?
But it's,
And-
It's school.
Or a grade level, or?
It's school-wide, we want 85% of our students. But then each teacher, I can hone in on each teacher, and as well as the teacher, they can look at their data and know if they're growing as a teacher, or that's what our database is for. If somebody's not, then we can share why aren't we growing? And it's a talking point for all of us and how we can get everybody moving in that direction.
That's the power of the grade level meetings and the content meetings, is they can compare data, and you may be very successful and I'm not. Now, Mike, can you show me what you're doing, or even you're really good at teaching this point, we may switch classrooms. You go in and teach my class and I'll take yours. I mean, that's the purpose of those meetings, is to talk that data. Jesse, did you want to add anything?
Actually, Brandy hit it. On the teacher evaluation tool and at each school, and we talked about this at one of our DLT meetings, is setting the benchmark level with 85% of the total kids reaching that decided per campus, this is our target. So every teacher, their goal is to have 85% of their kids reach 80% or higher. Because at that point, we'd feel confident that we can move on. We don't have those numbers yet, especially at the high school. We pretty much have all brand new benchmarking tests, but that's something we're going to be working towards through all three tests.
And some schools have done their benchmark to start the year off, and some are working on it because we have glitches in the new curriculum, getting the platforms up and going. But Eric's working on that. I'm 24/7, he's over it. But he is really working hard so teachers can get that testing done this week, beginning of next week. Okay.
I have the dumb question of the morning. I thought Galileo did the same thing as we're doing now with the mobile benchmarks through the year.
It did.
What's different?
They were bought out. They're not an Arizona company anymore.
So they don't exist anymore?
They do.
They do exist.
Imagine Learning,
Mhm.
and they were fraught and riddled with errors and not aligned tightly enough to Arizona standards anymore to make it a valuable expenditure.
Oh, sure.
And by using the platforms with our curriculum, we can also look and see if that fidelity is there as well, because it's measuring from their curriculum and standards.
Well, I thought Galileo was based on the same thing, the old Galileo. But okay, that answers the question.
It's super disappointing.
Yeah, I mean.
I loved Galileo.
Well, they used to do, when I go in, they show me the printouts and follow a kid.
And they
Oh,
were
it's
very
tremendous.
predictive for the
Yeah,
state test.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, well, I'm sorry to hear that answer, but
Mhm.
thank you.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the high school. And again, data analysis protocol, teachers are gonna be, looking at their data 3 times a year, following benchmark testing, unwrapping the standards. I believe all your teachers did that this summer, right? Unwrap. Are they
No.
still working on the unwrapping the standards? They
Yeah.
just did their scope and sequence this year. So the unwrapping the standards, it's gonna take some time, but they hope to have it finished by end of the year. And then their student and staff recognition. Questions? So you're probably wondering, where do I come into all of this? So I made my own little slide.
She did it, and she goes, I hope it was okay.
Well, and my little mascot, I should just put my picture up there and move that, and it would have covered it. Okay, mine, does yours, mine's okay, I think yours is okay too.
Okay.
Okay, so, campus visits. I'm gonna be visiting with administration quarterly as well as my instructional coaches. I will also be doing classroom walkthroughs bi-weekly with instructional coaches. And we'll be looking to see, my purpose is to make sure the teachers have everything they need to use that curriculum with fidelity. And if they need training, materials, what is it that you need? So if we see someone, not using the curriculum with that fidelity, I can talk with administrators and find out, hey, what do I need to do to help them be successful? So those classroom visits are going to be really important. And then attend data meetings. I will be attending data meetings and just really listening to instructional coaches, administrators, going over that data with teachers and finding out what they're going to be doing, how they're going to attack it, and if we need to make changes, then make changes. I mentioned earlier that I did a curriculum training. I'm scheduling all that curriculum training. So that's one way I'll see in the classroom visits. If they need more training with that curriculum, then I'm in contact with those companies to arrange that curriculum and make sure that happens. Okay. Teacher evaluation tool. I will be working with the administrators this year, and I believe I'll be evaluating one teacher on every campus alongside of the administrator. And we'll be working on looking for the holes in it, what needs to be improved. And it will also help develop the inner rating reliability of the tool. I supervise instructional coaches this year. We meet monthly. Every instructional coach has a different focus on what they want. Each campus needs something different. So each coach is going to have a different focus. They'll be providing a PD, a mini PD monthly for their staff. They will also be having their monthly, bi-weekly, I believe it is, a meeting with their new teachers to see what they need to prepare them for. You know, do we need to get ready for our parent-teacher conferences? Do we need to make sure they know how to get grades in grade books? Do we need to, what is some of the other focuses? Do we need to look at data and look at differentiating or maybe modification, accommodation, the differences of those? There's things new teachers need that our veteran teachers are already doing, but they'll also be doing whole staff PDs. I'll be working with them on that and attending those. What else? I talked about Fidelity, working with administration. I'll continue to work with teachers that I worked with last year. I have 8 of them still in the district. And that goes along with creating that 3-5-year new teacher induction plan. We need to start retaining teachers. And we do that by making sure they're supported. And that's how I can work along with the instructional coaches and administration and making sure those teachers are supported, make sure they have everything that they need. I am researching and working, I actually have a district up north that has offered to help me out, but with a 3-5-year new teacher induction plan where we stay with those teachers up to year 3, year 5. And so I hope to have that created. I will tell you, we did something a little different this year with our new teacher academy. We focused on classroom management. That is what I noticed last year going into classrooms, that our new teachers are really lacking that classroom management piece, and that makes a huge difference when you're trying to teach your students. So
First year teachers are just new to us.
they're new to us, so good question. And so, well, this year, teachers were falling out of the sky, and we hired all certified teachers and a lot of veterans. Some were 23 years. So, you know what, I added up, I told them in our training, I added up all of our years of experience. We had 158 years total in that class, in that room. That's how experienced our teachers are this year that we hired. So I'm going to clap for the administrators for doing such a great job hiring this year. But you know, and I was worried about putting Harry Wong, classroom management, in front of them because they were so experienced. But I want to read, we took a survey at the end. I want to read some. Overall, I felt like it provided me with a foundation going into the first days of school. Management will help me be an effective teacher. Without a plan, I won't be able to do my job. This was amazing information. I wished I had access to this years ago. It helps teachers be proactive and anticipate issues you might not otherwise think of. It definitely will help me be a better prepared teacher. I've developed a stronger sense of importance to the first couple of days of school, and I will be creating a procedure plan binder for the first time. So we received very positive feedback by providing Harry Wong's the classroom management. And
For many of them, what's their first exposure to it?
yes, it was.
You're kidding.
No. And I'm going to tell you, everyone just was so thankful for us providing that. So we went through that course. This is six chapters in it, and we went through every chapter and finished it. So it was great. Feedback was wonderful, and they really enjoyed it. So we'll continue to do that. I think it was successful, and I think we should continue. One thing I really want to do this year is I want to host content and grade level meetings for vertical alignment. I think it is so important for second grade teachers to get with third grade teachers, fifth grade teachers get with sixth grade teachers. We need to have that vertical alignment outside of the school's units itself and get to the other campuses. 8th graders meeting with 9th grade teachers. For one, I think they need to know each other personally and know who, that Heidi teaches 9th grade and what she does. I think that they need to be able to also discuss their curriculum and discuss their expectation. I need to know as a 5th grade teacher what a 6th grade teacher expects when the student walks through their door. So that is one thing that I will be doing. I hope to do that quarterly. And then I will work with the coaches. This year, as you remember, in the teacher evaluation tool, we added teacher self-eval on a video. So I'll be helping teachers getting used to videotaping themselves and how to get that done without it being a disruption to the classroom. So I'm really excited about that. Right now, I'm taking a course on videotaping teachers, and I love it. So I'm really excited about that. And I'll be
Finally, the
sharing.
right person for the job. Good job.
Thanks. And I'm going to be sharing what I learned there with my coaches. We'll be watching a video next week. So what else do we have? Work with coaches, so PD, I mentioned that. One thing that we want to do is creating, and I guess we did this years ago. It's out there somewhere, but it definitely needs to be updated with all of the new curriculum in the district. But creating a transparency regarding grade level academic outcomes. So we want to have it on our website. What can I expect for my child in 2nd grade? And put that on each school's website. So the parent can see that and know exactly what their child's going to learn and what should I expect for that outcome. So I'll be working on that as well. And as you see, it says to be continued. So I will continue to have things given to me to work on. Any questions?
No.
Okay, I'm going to be very
So
busy.
I'm happy to see that you created a slide for yourself and that you're now justified.
Well, I was doing this, I tell you, Mike, I was doing this presentation and I thought, well, how am I going to help them reach their goals? And this is how I'm going to do that, Mike.
I just want your picture on there.
Yeah. Instead of the circle.
I will, I'll work on that. I need to
Put your picture in the circle.
I mean, since you're doing
Like a
teacher
bullseye.
videoing, you could do yourself.
And that's what it says in this class, that we all need to videotape ourselves and from administration down in situations so we can grow. So expect that principles coming your way. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Get off this. So at CVUSD, we will work together as one pride to provide rigorous academics, increase attendance rates, celebrate student and staff accomplishments, and a culture of excellence and safety every day.
I like that one.
Thank you. And you know what?
Did you come up with
Yeah,
that?
I did. Yeah.
Good
That's
job,
good, that's a good one.
I just like working together as one pride. So my husband really likes that tagline too. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else you have for me?
No.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank
Keep it up. Okay, next item is item 6B, our superintendent's report.
Yeah, right. I was like, that's a hard act to follow right there. Thanks, Julie. But I could beat the time, So the slides that we'll loop throughout the superintendent report are just various pictures from the all staff orientation day. So while you're watching those or looking up, in your packet are lots of things. Yeah, they're there right there. So in your packet are the different goals from the schools and departments, and I just wanted to hit a couple of things with you. And you can, I'll hit through them and you can just listen along if you want. One of the things that CVHS is celebrating this month is that they worked hard to define their core values as a staff. When they came back to school, they did activities much like we did on May 29th to really come up with their core values. Something that HMS did, they are celebrating the fact that they have student assemblies, that they're going to have student assemblies to celebrate academics, athletics, and positive behavior. So they're reinstituting some of those things that we saw years ago at HMS. One of the fun things is the career corner that Brian's been working on for territorial. And they have a career corner for the library that will be going in at Tech. So as early as preschool, you can start learning about careers. One of the earliest ways that we do career exploration at territorial is dress up and role play. So it's kind of a fun way to start thinking about it. For transportation, one of the things I want to talk about is that they're working on adjusting. We're down a driver the first week, and we have some drivers in training. Drivers will be finishing up training this week. We should be fully staffed in Transpo by next Monday. And then we have a driver going out for surgery. So, it's like that over and over again. But Selena's working this week. Now that they know how many kids get on at each stop, they can say, okay, we need to stop here. We don't need to stop there, and figure out if they need to rearrange some of the routes.
Cindy, just a quick.
Yes.
On transportation, and it's just because what I saw the other day, we have a crew in the bus barn that can do basic servicing on the buses.
Correct. We have mechanics.
Okay, because one of the buses was being hauled on a flatbed into town the other day that I saw on the highway. So I figured that it must be a pretty serious problem, because I thought we had our own in-house mechanics.
We do. We have two. We have mechanics and a mechanics helper position. And so anything that's significant, they'll leaves the district. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because I thought we had it internal, and that everything does not have to be sent out.
Correct. Yep, absolutely.
Great.
So for the business office, the biggest thing that they probably want you to know for monitoring is that the auditors will be here starting tomorrow. That's a biggie. With another thing I wanted to point out is that one of our strategies for communicating with the community, we've actually been on the front page of the Courier twice in the last 2 weeks. And both articles were super, super positive and highlighted all kinds of great stuff about the district. So that was kind of neat. We're not on the front page all that often. For special needs, Nicole reported that one of the things that they're working on monitoring is helping new staff be successful. And so in the personnel report, you'll even see some people who are being paid as teacher mentors to work specifically with our inexperienced special ed teachers. We have a huge celebration from Sodexo, and it's buried way back in there in your packet. This is just mind-boggling to me. In June of 23, this is summer feeding, because somebody asked about this last month. In June of 23, we served 3,332 breakfasts. In June of 24, June and July combined. In June and July combined this year, we served 13,926, which tells you the increase in need in the community. And it's pretty reflective of the economy, right? Lunch year over year, 6,000, a little over about 6,100 lunches in 23. In 24, almost 14,000 lunches. We ran the grab and go again out of CVUSD, so people could pick up meals for the week too, if it wasn't convenient for them to come, like pay gas to come and eat every day. So that was a huge bump. In HR, I circled this one only because now it's not true anymore. It's a half of a celebration. We had all our teaching positions filled as of last Thursday at 3:59 p.m., except one, which is resource math at Heritage, and then we had a resignation. So we dropped one new teacher in the first week of school. So if anybody has a burning desire to teach middle school science, we'd love to hear from you, or middle school resource math. And then facilities had reported they were celebrating that they were 99% complete on the wood shop. We're actually 100% complete. So our teacher is, Mr. Steinberg is working on getting the equipment moved in and all that kind of stuff. So one of these days before long, Caitlin will have to set up a new wood shop tour, because it's doubled in size.
I'm making the big scissors and ribbons. I love the scissors.
She wants to do all the things.
I want all the things, and I would like to go there. You'll get an invite.
So those are some updates just on the goals and the things that everybody says they're celebrating. Couple other things that I want to talk briefly about is on July 9th, we had a reunification training that the district hosted. So in the event that there's an emergency and a school campus needs to be evacuated, there are certain protocols for that. And we held a training and invited people from all over the joint to come, all over the county. School districts, emergency responders, EMS, Yavapai County, tons of different people. And we had a huge interagency and partners training from all around the county that we hosted. 2 weeks later, we hosted one just for the Chino Valley team to start making our plans. And so we have an outside facilitator who's helping us with that. Matt Gronick is our lead safety specialist for the district. And as part of that reunification process, we have an offsite location selected. So like if we had a gas leak at a school, I mean, something as simple as that. If we lost all of our water and power at a school, we have students with needs and apparatus that requires electricity or cool temperatures. So we are beginning the process of working on our reunification plan in case we needed to evacuate an entire school campus. There are reasons, 1% of the reasons nationwide have to do with school violence. Most of the other reasons have to do with facilities issues. And we've had gas leaks at our campus. We've had non-specific threats that required students to evacuate for several hours. We never had anywhere that we could take students that would be indoors. All of our locations for reunification would have been outdoors, which are not safe because you can't secure them. People could come and pick up kids and leave and things like that. So we're in the process. We'll fill you in more about that as we go along. So that was our partner reunification plan. And I gotta say this. The first week after fall break is National School Safety Week. And we are in the process of planning some pretty fun stuff for that week. We'll roll out Parent University, which is where parents can learn about safety for their students in lots of capacities, ways to keep kids safe at home, safe online, learn about the things that we're doing to help keep kids safe. So we'll give you more details about that as the time approaches. Want to talk a little bit about the welcome back. You've seen all the fun slides scrolling. There's only one place in Chino Valley large enough to host the 330 people who work on our campuses and put them all at tables and soft chairs. And thankfully, Grace Church built a giant room to accommodate all of us. So we were wall to wall, as you can see in the pictures. It's the largest tabled event they've hosted there. The room can seat about 700 people without tables. So we had the event there, and you can see Sodexo provided breakfast for us, and our administrators and directors did all the training. So we did all the mandatory training, and we had vendors there. So throughout the course of the morning, we had 3 hosted coffee trucks rather than a guest speaker this year. I got to tell you, that went over really well. Lots of people were super excited to have a free fancy cup of coffee. The vendors have all contacted me and said they loved it and would like to come back again next year. So these are some pictures of what it looked like inside. Without a doubt, Catherine Werner's presentation on bloodborne pathogens was the highlight of the morning. So you think you can't make it funny, but you can. And she did a great job with it. But it was just some of the comments we got are, I felt welcomed, I felt valued. I left the training feeling optimistic about the year. I never knew who all our administrators were in the district, so it was fun to see everybody. Those were all some of the really fun parts of the morning. So it was a nice venue. We've done a poll asking, do people want to be in the gym and bleachers? Our gyms can't accommodate tables. Do they like the format? Overwhelmingly, everybody wants to do a similar format again. So, and as it so happened, when we had floated this idea out there last April, we said, let's give it a whirl. Let's give it a try. Well, the one thing that happened was the only 2 campuses that we have that have adult-sized furniture were both under construction this summer. and we would not have been able to even host on site anyway. So it was fortuitous that we planned months in advance because we would have been really trying to figure out what to do at the last second. So that's a little bit about the orientation. Let's see, enrollment numbers I have for you hot off the press from Leanne this afternoon. Currently, we have 2,258 kids enrolled. And we believe that we have, well, we think we have, right now we have 2,278. And the reason is our Aspire kids aren't showing up in the count yet. And we tuition those kids to our alternative program. We collect the ADM for them and then pay a program fee. Nor are our students who are most severely autistic children who we tuition out to a day program. So they're not showing up in the hard numbers from Leanne, but when I did the math, we're sitting at 2,278 is what we believe from attendance, just because of those other programs not showing up yet either. So John and I did a little, sure, we'll call it that. We did a little ADM projection, and we figure worst case scenario ADM, because, for example, our autism program at Territorial has double the enrollment we are anticipating. I'll let that sink in. 5 years through 8 years of age right now, and we're scrambling to hire more staff. But the students who are enrolled in some of our programs like that have, as you know, a different funding weight because of the level of needs and care that they require. So we are projecting maybe being down 35 to 40 ADM, which puts us almost spot on with the budget you approved at the last meeting. So we think we're sitting fairly flush. We'll know October 1, all our October 1 program counts. So sometime, probably not that October board meeting because it's really quick after October 1, but we'll have some pretty solid projections. It just may not be finalized by October. So that's where we're sitting with that. Construction wise, HMS is going back into their offices this weekend.
Yay.
They've been out since March. Yeah. They've been in the portables and in the lobby with no cooling. The ladies who've been sitting in the lobby sweating for months will be super, super excited. So HMS is going back into their offices this weekend, which means the portables will slowly get packaged up and moved to tech. But we're waiting on approval from CAFMA because of fire lane issues with the portables. They'll be slightly in the fire lane. We also have our, probably you have seen the portables right outside the building here for CVHS. They were going to be in the field, but the field is very swampy. So they're on really old asphalt. So they're going to work on setting them there because they'll be there throughout the winter and, you know, all the rainy seasons that we have coming up. So they're working on putting those together, but CVHS is already under HVAC construction. So the rooms that Lori Marley's typically usually in, the weight room, those are all in process already. You've probably seen the equipment. And then last but not least, we have, well, second to last, we have the girls soccer field on Wednesday evening at CVHS in the cafeteria at 6 p.m. We are having a community forum because one of our fields projects, of course, has been the construction of the girls soccer field, a portion of which was designated for football practice. And the field is not in the condition that we wanted it to be in for school to start this year, or for the season to start. And so facilities, that's really a facilities responsibility that really has been an ongoing construction project. And so the high school did an auto dialer call with a survey attached, and parents, community members, anybody can weigh in on just their thoughts about fields. One of the things that we know field-wise is, in some ways, we're like one field short. And that sounds a lot like one field shy of a full load, but that's really where we are. Because in order for football If football practice is on the football field, then the football field isn't in very good shape for games. It's not in good shape for soccer games under the lights. If football practice is somewhere else, they chew up another field. And so in terms of practice fields, we're sort of a field shy of practice fields. How do other schools get around it? Staggered sports seasons. Our soccer's in the fall, adjacent with football. Some schools have winter soccer. Right now, there are very few soccer teams in our league. That may be something we're forced to do regardless. Another thing is, what do other schools do? Our 2 neighboring districts have artificial turf. So you can practice all you want on artificial turf, doesn't hurt it a bit. Artificial turf, not in our budget. So those are so we are having the meeting at 6 o'clock in the cafeteria though, at CVHS, and it is open to the community, which is why I wanted to make sure that we mention that under kind of construction updates. The last thing is, on your desk, you have the calendar, and I wanted to just give you 2 other dates that were not on the calendar because, bless her heart, the lady who is our admin assistant for athletics was out sick when we were putting this together. So I just wanted to share 2 things with you. August 30th is our first home varsity football game, August 30th. That's against Kingman. And then September 6th, we're home football against Sportgate Catholic. So that gives you a little idea there. And then one of the very first things, this Thursday, I'm rotating Coffee with the Superintendent to one time approximately a month at each campus on Thursday mornings. And this is our very first one. It's at Tech this Thursday morning. Brandy's my guinea pig. So we're going to give it a whirl. And so people, I'm just going to be available. I'm making a giant pot of coffee and bringing it with me and thermal crafts, and people are welcome to come have a cup of coffee, talk about anything they want to talk about, share whatever things they want to share, ask whatever questions they want. I just want to try to be accessible, and I wanted to rotate among the schools. So as parents are dropping off their kids, it's more convenient to come in. And then I think once a quarter or something, we're in the DO. So they're on the marquee, they're on the school marquee. So they're on the website. So parents will have an opportunity. It's a casual, it's really a casual time. Just come in and talk about whatever they feel like talking about. So
We're at Tech. Will it be located?
well, I woke up at 2:33 this morning wondering the same thing. I don't know. Well, Brandy, on the curb, where am I gonna be?
No stress.
Probably in the lounge, in the teacher's lounge.
I think that's a really great idea.
Me too.
I think it's really great that you're putting yourself out there for people to, get to know your face and stuff like that, and then have them approach you with any questions. Or I think that that's one of the problems that we have is people not being correctly informed.
So, and that's what we're trying to do, like the soccer field thing, we could have said, hey, girl soccer parents, come on in. But the truth is, there are a lot of people that have a vested interest in that. And so for us, it's like, there really isn't any one person whose opinion or expertise is really all that more important than anybody else's. Everybody should have a say. Our schools are part of our community, and we all feel strongly that everybody has a valid viewpoint and vantage point that a lot of times we don't have. So Brandy's the guinea pig, and then I think I'm on to Del Rio next week. So I put those on here for you. But that's the biggie. I'll end up missing, I think, Heritage's first one because of the law conference. So.
And then there's one on the 29th. That's going to be here in the district office.
Yes. So whenever there's a 5th Thursday in a month, it's the DO. So there's a variety on there. So that was a really flying trip through did I beat the time, Ed? Sure. Did I beat Julie's time?
It was not hard.
Not gonna lie.
The reason my time was wrong is because administrators talked a little bit more than I expected.
So, they have this cute little game they play of timing everybody's presentation, and it's a competition.
You
And
were
don't worry.
18 You were 18 minutes and 52 seconds.
That was 50% of the time Julie took.
Who was 44 minutes.
Oh, less than 50.
Don't worry, when I got back, my phone was blown up by text messages from my dear peers.
I didn't say anything.
So anyway, I whipped through that. If there's anything that I can answer questions about, I would be happy to answer. I want to, Julia acknowledged 2 brand ambassadors tonight. And, you know, when we really worked on solidifying what is our brand and what do we stand for at that May 29th day, one of those things is preparing students for the future, whether it's career, college, or more education training. And we recognize, oh, well, that's timely. We recognize some brand ambassadors at our orientation day. Chris, John, and Selena for the work that they've done, for the work that Chris and Selena have done together for transportation and facilities, the work that John and Chris have done together for all our construction projects. But we also recognized Carrie Zambrano, who is the Black Canyon District FFA teacher, agriculture teacher of the year, and the statewide FFA agriculture teacher of the year. So we recognized Carrie, and we recognized Ricky Jensen, who is the Arizona finalist for Arizona Rural Schools Teacher of the Year. So tonight we recognize some EL teachers, and this Thursday, all staff will learn the way that they can nominate their peers for being brand ambassadors, whether it's doing things to keep our schools safe, whether it's doing things to prepare our students for the future. Those are all important, and whether it's demonstrating how well we work together. So the foundation's sponsoring some ongoing rewards for that, but just want to let you know that we took that May 29th day seriously, and we're off and running. So.
Any questions? Comments? Fantastic. Then moving on to item 6C1, financial reports, Mr. Livingston.
Thank you. So 2 reports tonight. Thank you, Karen, for putting them on separate headers there. Consolidated board report for the year ended 23-24. We've got 99% of those expenditures done. For last year, we still have about a week and a half to make expenditures if we need to for goods and services that we received before June 30th. Budget last year, $20 million. Expenditures are going to come in really close to 18.9 million, which leaves that 1.1 million to bring forward into the 24-25 year that we just started. We really need that. If we look at grants that were brought in last year, over $250,000, if we wouldn't have had those grants, in some cases, we wouldn't have had that 1.9 million to bring forward. So it's really, really helped us out. When we get later on into the agenda, we'll have the second reading of our fund balance policy. And the word I'd like to just say from that is just, because this is certainly my focus, if we do have a fund balance that meets that 4%, we can have additional fiscal stability for subsequent years. And everything I do is usually within a 3-year plan. What was last year, what do we really need this year, and then where we're going next year. So we're kind of on track to make that for the 24 year just ended. If our goal is 4%, we'll make it over 5%. And we have 1.1 million on a 20 in our M&O fund. Capital fund ended with a budget of 2.40 right on 2 million. Expenditures 1.5 million for last year, which allows us to bring forward. You might recall at the May 13th meeting, we moved some budget from capital over to M&O to get it to that 20 million last year. So that's a quick look at last year. Any questions for the year ended June 30th, 24? We've got 4 more pages on the first month of the 24-25 year. As Superintendent Daniels mentioned, our budget's down a bit. 19.3 million. We proposed and adopted down about 650,000 from last year. We're on course. If we can keep all expenditures within line, we're on course to bring forward about 4.5% of that in the 25-26 year. So things are tight. All departments have received reduced operating budgets. We've got a reduced operating budget. We're again just trying to stay within those parameters that we've set. We have a couple papers here to look at if you want to take a look at. It's in your packet there, and it's to do with ending cash in fund balances. And the one to look at, if you could think of it just after all these goals that we have, it's the one that's fiscal year 24, 25 in the upper left corner as of August 31st. And it's got last year's ending cash balances. It's just one of these little, I need to make the font a little bit bigger. It's about halfway through your handouts from me. It says fiscal year 24, 25, and it's got cash balance. These are what we ended with last year. So you see there, National Forest, $195,000. That's what we start with this year. Just you come down to indirect costs, $288,000. We have big plans for our indirect costs, pick up things like travel, like some expenditures in supplies, some expenditures in capital if needed. But it's just this one right here, that one right there, 24, 25, and it's got all the ending fund balances as of last year. And then I haven't rolled those forward. I won't do that until the A.R.S is done. We do that October 2nd. Are we going to meet at Alden again this year? October 2nd. I thought you might want to do that, Karen. So anyway, the last couple of years we've gone early. It's not due to the state until October 15th, but we did it October 6th and we did it October 4th. Now we're doing the 2nd in Alden. But as soon as that's done, then we'll roll these cash balances forward from last year. Once the county's convinced that all the bills are paid, all the money's there, then we roll those forward. But right now, these are just in last year's ledger, and I put them into this spreadsheet. And this year, current budget, 19.3 million for M&O fund. Capital fund down again a little bit, 1.1 million. And that, of course, is transferable. If we need it, we'll be really careful about spending capital dollars like we always are. If we need to transfer some more of that at a certain point during the year over to M&O, that's a possibility. We don't like to do that, but we can if we need to. And 620 fund ended last year with $281,000. That's our Jason Ways. We bring in the $350,000 during the levy this year. Gives us $630,000 for summer projects next year for paving and parking lots, chip seal repair, things that Jason Ways is used for. That's a summary. I think we're right on. We spent $860,000 in the month of July in our M&O fund. That's average is about $1,350,000 to about $1,500,000 per month. If you just divide the 12 operating months into the average cost. So July was a really quiet month, which we like. Any questions? 2 fiscal years that you're kind of riding on right now.
Anything over here? All right. Thank you. Let me move on. I believe we have student activity reports now.
Great. Student activity has also been a pretty quiet month. It's the last page right before consent agenda in your packets. The 3 activities we could report on a bit. If you've seen Saturdays, I don't know if our new cheer coach has been doing more than Saturdays, but I've seen about 6 Saturdays. They've been out here doing fundraisers in the parking lot. And you see some revenues that, well, we see some expenditures there of $2,300. I know they're working on uniforms and different things, but the revenues I think are mostly booked in August for that. But football, you see a big fundraiser. Football, Brian might know this. I think they did a weightlifting activity for sponsors.
I think they did a lift-a-thon or something.
Lift-a-thon, and then they got that's where the $6,300 came in for their big fundraiser. So if you sponsored a weightlifter that's on the football team for whatever the activity was, how much they could lift per pound, that brought in $6,300. So that really helped them.
Is it $1 a pound?
I think sometimes it was a little more than that, but the coach was really happy. They did that right here in our facility, and then right away it went over to a new location, all the way lifting equipment. So they got it done when they quite done. That's really all I have. The student activity is balanced and accurate. And we look at it, 3 of us look at it, so the funds are secure. So we have really big expectations for the middle school. Do lots of fundraising with their student activity with all those new clubs they have over there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. Item 8A through F is consent agenda. Unless anyone has anything to pull, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
A second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Item 8A is list of qualified evaluators for our school year 24-25. Ms. Daniels.
So in your packet, there's a list of the people who have been trained by Arizona School Administrators Association and meet all of the qualifications to evaluate staff this year. So every year, we just ask that you approve these folk as evaluators, or in some cases, potential evaluators.
All right, any questions, gentlemen, ladies? No? All right, seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the list of qualified evaluators.
I'll make a motion to approve the list of qualified evaluators for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second? I'll second. Thank you, Marcia. All in favor? Aye. Item 8B is lead groundskeeper.
Madam Chair, board members, we are requesting a lead groundskeeper two to be added to our classified salary schedule. Mr. Sheriff has requested that he would like this position in lieu of maintenance two to keep track of the facilities and monitor our fields and other items on our campus. It will be revenue neutral since it's taking, where one person has resigned from a position and he's moving somebody into that lead position.
So he already had somebody.
Yes.
And is this comparable to the facilities lead or
Yes.
facilities too?
Yes, it's, yeah, maintenance too. Yeah,
Thank you.
yes.
Something.
Yeah.
Do you know if they do any outside work? Because I'm looking for someone to mow my lawn and somebody at my house.
That I do not know, but I can find out for you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments on this position from the ladies and the gentlemen? All right, seeing none, if we could have a motion to approve the lead groundskeeper.
I'll make a motion for the approval of lead groundskeeper position added to the 24-25 classified entry salary schedule.
Fantastic. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor? Aye, thank you. Item 8D, athletic director evaluation tool. Ms. Wolf. Did I miss C? All right, well, let's go back to AIM paraprofessional.
So as Mrs. Daniels mentioned earlier, we have increased our AIM program doubled from 6 to 12 students. A lot of these students need one-on-one paraprofessionals and extra supervision. We have climbers, we have leapers, we have runners. We are asking for 3 positions. We anticipate that these new positions will be revenue neutral because of the funding source that pays for these students.
Again, any questions? All right, this is an action item. If we can get a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion for the approval of the addition of 3 additional paraprofessionals at the AIM program at Tech.
All in favor, or I'm sorry, a second? Thank you, Peter. All in favor? Aye. Now we'll do 8D, athletic director evaluation tool.
So one of the goals of the HR department is to make sure that all of our evaluation tools are current and up to date. And so Julie and Brandy did an awesome job with the teacher one. But we have worked on, in the HR department, we worked on the one for our athletic directors. So, which is attached. So we're looking for approval of that. It'll be used for both Heritage and for Chino Valley High School.
Do we still have the same athletic director at the high school?
Yes.
Okay, what about at the middle school?
Her name is Kimberly Range, and she is new to our school, but not new to teaching, and she also holds an administrative certificate.
And this is just for the athletic
Yeah,
director.
this is just for the athletic director.
Do we
position.
have, or are we creating possibly an evaluation tool for coaches?
Yes. It's on my to-do list.
Fantastic.
Yes.
To be continued.
Yes.
To be continued.
And Heidi, I don't know if you said it or not, this is based on the national
Yes.
standards for athletic directors.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any other questions regarding this position request or tool? All right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the athletic director evaluation tool.
I'll make the motion for the approval of athletic director evaluation tool for Chino Valley High School and Heritage Middle School.
And a second, please. I'll second. Thank you, Marcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 8E, our personnel report, Ms. Wolf.
And you should also have received a supplement. We have had a few changes. So currently we have 5 new classified, 7 new classified subs, 5 resignations, 9 classified changes, 1 extra duty, 6 coaches, and 24 timesheets.
I have a concern.
Sure.
Number 11.
On
Reading
the regular or
on the
supplement?
regular, reading her resignation is kind of a red flag for me. I actually met this individual at a baseball this spring, and I really liked her, and I thought she was gonna be a really great asset to our district because she'd already worked in the district. So reading this resignation, whether that doesn't really, has somebody looked into it?
Yes,
Okay.
we are looking into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on any of the numbers? I like to call them numbers. All right, then if we could have a motion to approve tonight's personnel report and supplement,
I'll make the motion for the approval of the personnel report with supplement.
and a second. I'll second. Thank you, Marcia. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
So welcome. Item 9A, consideration and possible action to appoint a member as a delegate to the Arizona School Board Association Delegate Assembly, September 7th.
Nope.
I know you've all been like, I can't wait for this.
Oh, yeah, I for sure was. I did it last year.
Coincidentally, there are no hotel rooms.
Oh, that's good.
Darn. Well, I was not the delegate last year, but at the annual meeting, I was still able to apply to go into the assembly and vote on behalf of the district. So not sure how important it is to have a delegate.
Is anybody going?
To the law conference.
Yeah.
I am going this year. I haven't gone in a long time. But last year's law conference generated a lot of controversy statewide and resulted in several districts withdrawing their membership from ASBA. So I thought, I think I want to go see for myself. So I'm gonna go this year and we'll see what it looks like and
There were some categories that were voted on that were just neck and neck kind of thing. I mean, it was like a half and half. And they said some of the things that happened last year never happened before. So, but I didn't know what the results at the end were. So anyway, yeah.
Well, no one's going to the conference, so can you be our delegate? I did not think so.
no, it's a board member.
So,
However,
If
if we
something
even,
happens and you want me, I will drive down
good to know.
there, okay?
I'll make sure I have a current phone number. The other thing is that
I think it's a
you,
good player.
but we can approve in the next agenda item, the priorities and all that stuff and still get the information to
Yes,
ASBA
okay.
without you having
Yes.
to attend, if you can't
Fantastic.
attend.
Okay.
All right, then, item 9B is our draft political agenda. It is,
So 9A, no action.
so
we
no
need
action,
that.
no,
No action, okay,
sorry.
okay. I was gonna ask that.
Okay. We'll still go down to 9B.
Okay.
The political agenda, which Ms. Daniels, if you can help us out a little bit here.
Okay, so you'll remember I went back and looked to see what board meeting was at where we kind of said, like what were the priorities and all that stuff. Karen sent all that in. So what you see here is what came out of that solicitation, I guess I would call it earlier, like late spring. So on the political agenda here, they just want to know, are we in favor of this or is there anything that we would say, now we don't agree with that? Because this is your time to really make that statement. But it really, I went back through everything that we voted on and to Marcia's point, a lot of times stuff that maybe rural districts think is a priority, urban districts don't necessarily have the priority for. So basically it's that, and to a point Peter makes every time is it seems like the same topics are on there
We are.
every year for
They are.
the last couple of decades. So anyway, it's, really coming back at that, funding, making fine arts a priority, fully funding CTE, fully funding all-day K. Those are a lot of the common things that we see every year. There's nothing on here that is, it's the same thing. No forced unification for school districts and that kind of stuff. So there really is nothing on here that was any different than what you saw earlier in the spring. It's just a little bit of a solidification of the solicitations.
All right. Does anyone have any discussion? Anyone would like discussion on this political agenda? I think we talked about it in the spring and talked about it extensively. All right, then this is an action item.
I'll make the motion to approve the AFBA draft 2025 political agenda.
And a second.
I should probably second it,
Thank
because
you,
everybody's
Peter.
heard what I think about this enough times.
That's not nominated. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, item 10A, recommendations for early admission in kindergarten. Ms. Cox.
Hello. So good evening. Tonight is the time that I come to the board to talk about early entrances. We had 5 parents do a formal request for early entrance. Out of those 5, following early entrances, their birthday is before September 1st. So out of those 5 that were requested, we did accept 4 of the 5. One we just didn't feel was quite ready for that. And out of those 4, because this is a question that Peter always asks, 3 of them did attend our preschool that were accepted. And the teachers don't know, so it's a totally blank playing field. Teachers have no idea who the early entrances are, just so it's fair across the board and we don't have an opinion before they come in.
These children haven't started yet.
They have started, but they haven't formally been accepted. So we let them start. And then if you didn't approve it from the board, then we'd tell them.
SG, I presume, is not started.
Huh?
SG is not started, I presume.
Nope. No, we call them all within, right after Jumpstart. And we formally talk to them. All the teachers sit down and they talk, make a recommendation, and then we call.
Okay, and they, I presume, I understand that the formal decision is now, but the recommendation is.
Yep.
Sure, okay, thank you.
And that one had a late birthday anyway, so.
Really late.
All right. Any other questions or comments from Mrs. Cox? All right, this also is an action item.
I'll make the motion to approve the early kindergarten entrance for student for policy JEP. I will second.
Thank you, Marcia. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
It's just.
1 minute, 28 seconds.
We started late. I have one.
I get the trophy.
All right, item 11A. These are just first readings of policies. So, do your homework, read them,
We
talk
all
about them
spent
next
a
time.
lovely evening reading. everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes, we did.
So no action needs to be taken on those. So moving on to item 11B, this is the second reading of policies. Policy DD regarding annual budget. Do we need any other clarification or discussion?
Talked about last time.
Okay. This is also an action item.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the second reading of policy DD and budget.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. See y'all next month. Thank you. Perfect.
That's it. Mike.
Oh, okay.